It's that time again. When we bring to your viewing pleasure, some farm talk right here on the People's Telly. It's hot seat, and I am Moses or Jeremy. As the saying goes, that if you don't get involved in politics, you'll be governed by those who do. But we're joined today by a man who has taken that quote to heart. He is a respected politician, a strategist, a man with the gift of the gab. He's an orator, where if you call him that, then of course you are not far from the truth. A man whose rise from humble beginnings to national relevance is a reflection of conviction and courage. Otuba Segun Showunmi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. Of course, former spokesperson of Atiku campaign organization and currently the national coordinator of the alternative. But there's so much more to him, even in politics. So let's get to see that briefly. Let's go through his profile. And when we come back, we hear the interview segment of the show. Please stay with us. And that was the profile of my guest today, Otumba Segun Showunmi. And welcome to the show once again, Otumba.
Nice to be here. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, let's start from the new movement, the alternative. Of course, I've heard you speak in sister stations even before you launched this. But I'd like to hear from the horse's mouth. What do you aim to achieve with this?
Thank you. Nations must decide how they want to select leaders. And there are many models for governance. There are about 4 things that should bother us now. 1, what is the promise of democracy really, if not to give the children of the not so rich, the ones that are not part of the bourgeoisie, the opportunity, 1, to vote, to prevent themselves for election, and to participate. I came to the conclusion that we needed to commence a re-engagement of the political process we are running after about 26, 27 years. Why should a nation that has 83 thereabout million collected PVC, a population of about 250, 240 million, estimation though, why should they not turn up on election day? Especially if we are an extremely garrulous, conversational country. Okay, if you are conversational about the issues, where are you on the day of the election? So I thought we should go and talk to people that, look, we need to find another way, a better way. But I couldn't call it the better, so I called it the alternative. The second, shall a nation that is aware of its history, 200 and something plus languages, numerous tribe and numerous ethnic group, multi-religious, multicultural, should they not be aware that they could injure the stability of their country if they reduce everything to tribalism? If the conversation becomes, oh, when a Yoruba, imagine people insulting Wole Soyinka. Have they ever walked in his shoes? They don't even know what he has gone through. Because of who? because of Peter Obi that is untested and unvalidated. But they did that because that was their interpretation of how to push back on somebody they thought was against their friend. Imagine people attacking themselves. Imagine young people saying things like, oh, some people's parents had no clothes, some people's parents are hungry. That's too dangerous. So I wanted to say, okay, we can't be doing tribalism as a conversation. Especially because we had made some progress. No zone can produce president by themselves. But we had agreed, albeit slowly, and in an unwritten format, that we're going to run the country in the pendulum. If it swings to the north, it will stay there 8 years. Obasanjo did 8 years. The kind of person that Obasanjo is, he could have insisted that his successor would be a southerner, but he was wise enough and reasonable enough and committed to the idea. He swung to the north. Yaradua. No one can predict when a dry wood will die, or no one can predict whether a wet wood will die. People can be ill and they'll still be alive. Yaradua died. The constitution has envisaged what will happen if the president dies. They will balance it with the southerner. So, but when he finished and Jonathan wanted to remain longer than necessary, there was a combined gang up to take it back to Buhari in the north. Say what you will, for the first 2 or 3 years of Buhari, he was always in and out of the hospital. The same principle of retaining it there made them allow him to finish the 8 years to the best of his ability. And I believe that every leader tries as much as he can within the limit of his God-given skills and the lie on the ground. Lie on the ground means the way the economy of the world is, the issues deal. And after Buhari, never mind the people who is always saying, I have to be candidate all the time. As if Nigeria owes him a duty to make him president. We don't owe anybody that. They swung to Ashangwala Tinubu. We have just done 2 years of that. So basically, I wanted to say, let's respect ourselves. And then I wanted us to say, okay, Nigerians, if you are not happy, they bring you this one, you're not happy. That one, you're not happy. Nobody can serve you that you'll be happy. Oh yeah, produce the ones you want.
Also, it seems that in itself is tribalistic. I mean,
How?
The zoning agreement we have. That's why we saw that politics of the local, in last election in 2023. And you did mention Peter Obi, and that also affected Peter Obi because people say, oh, he's Igbo, and we know that the Southeast keep, there's an outcry of exclusion because, I mean, the Southeasterner has never been president. So when we go to the north, yes, of course, in northern, and when we come to the south, the pendulum tends to swing here. Then we have the our local kind of politics. Is that also not tribalistic?
It is. But it is not as tribalistic as saying it is not equitable. Tribalism, when you divide the country into north versus south, it's very difficult for you to micro-divide the country. Otherwise, where do you stop? Are you going to micro-divide it to your families and your surnames? But it is not equitable. What is equitable is to say that a nation like ours must find a convenient arrangement to give everybody a sense of belonging. It is that equity challenge that actually made me support Atiku for some time, because I felt that apart from Tafawa Balewa, nobody from the northeast has had a chance. It was always the northwest all the time. And to my credit, I went to their leaders. I went to President Buhari. I raised it to him. I said, sir, we grew up believing that there's a one north. This your one north, you are destroying it. You have lost the middle belt, central, not central, because you are not imagining that they are important. Your people, somehow, there's a lot of killing going on there. And you guys are pretending as if their life is not important for you. Now you are going to lose the northeast, because every time their own son stands up, you pretend as if they are not enough for you. And you expect them to always stand up when you stand up. I'm fair like that. The whole Peter Obi thing that you're saying, my contribution is not small. After the 2019 election, I kept saying, what are we going to do with this Igbo agitation? In a bid to tell them in the Southeast, you need a pan-Nigerian. Yes, the civil war has happened. Uzobu can only walk up to an extent. You may even have a compelling argument and desire. But if your people are going to be rude to everybody, if they are going to call people's ancestral land no man's land, if nobody is valuable in their eyes apart from their man, you will instigate people's primordial sentiment. And we encourage Peter to buy the form, believing that if he goes around the country, maybe Nigerians will see that there's something there. But hey, what did they do? They went into their zone and locked it up and gave 98% to their son. And people in other zones gave their sons some votes. Then their hypocrisy became clear. What's going on here? Why are you able to win in Lagos? Why are you able to win in some other locations, even in the north, get some numbers? And how is it that established parties could not even get 10%, could not get 20%? Nobody got 25% in your zone. Hello. And then post that, you came third. You believe you were cheated, perhaps. You went to court, you couldn't prove it. And what we got is that Peter started to instigate young people, especially from his tribe, to hate the country. And that then meant that
it appears to me, sorry to cut you short, it appears to me was playing the opposition card. What would an
opposition
do than to criticize?
No. Opposition, I have criticized more than he has ever done in his life. I've been in opposition since 98, 99 when the party was formed. And I've been standing firm in PDP and I've been taking on the battle.
So what has Peter Obi done that you didn't do?
Thank you. Before I get to that, most people interpret the conversation of Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Abeokuta when he was talking to predominantly his party member and he was talking to people of Yoruba extraction in his party. And he was justifying how he had served all of them in his party and how he had helped them in his party. And then he said, even if they say Yoruba should produce, is it not me? After all, have I not laid my back on the ground for all of you to clap? That was it. But you know, when you talk in the smallest corner of the world, it can take a national, so they converse and converted it as though he was being duly entitled, perhaps. But there's nothing in Bola Tinubu's lifestyle that demonstrates that level of entitlement. When they lost everything in 2003, he stayed. And when he finished government in 2007, for 16 years, he did not even attempt to be anything. He did not attempt to be party chairman. He did not attempt to be senator, all of the cheap things that others can be. So you can't call him an unduly entitled person. But it doesn't matter. That's his own thing to it. The difference between me and Peter is that whereas I agree that we need to improve things and I criticize what we need to improve, I don't go all over the world shaming the country. Nations are sort of like in global competitiveness with themselves. India is competing with China. China is competing with America. America is competing with the world. Britain is competing with France. Germany is competing with France and vice versa. None of the leaders or the big voices of those nations go to other countries of the world significantly to be screaming that their country is bad. So Peter became too simplistic. And the country was dividing his rhetoric was dividing the country even more and returning the country to where we left. In the First Republic, Awolowo will be talking Yoruba kind of rhetorics. Atiku will be talking Igbo kind of rhetoric. Tafawa Balewa, what did we get from a civil war? And after we have gone so many years, to the credit of Showunmi Yaradua, who tried to say, oh, let us create a pan-Nigerian political conversation, created a lot of structures, and raised people like the Atiku and so many of them, so that we can continue this way. Shall we now be the successor? If the successors have failed, the Atiku, they failed woefully in keeping that. Why would you expect us, who are now the successor of the Atiku, not to start saying, let's stop this? Or do you want us to have a civil war?
Yeah, you have taken a swipe at Atiku Abubakar.
I've taken a swipe at all of them. Yeah.
Which you worked with,
Meaning what? I was in the party, he came in.
Yeah, you were the spokesperson of this campaign organization. Yeah. So one would say it seems there's a bad blood.
No, there's no bad blood.
No bad blood.
You have to hear. And I want you to, for the purpose of the listener, to hear well. I love him with my bones. I used to tell Atiku, do you think you want to be president more than I want you to be president? You may think you want to be president because of ambition. I wanted you to be president because the directing principle of how this country was supposed to go, I expect you know, because you people are the product of Tafawa Balewa, you particularly are the product of Showunmi. I expect that if you want to restructure the country, you understand what the issues are. But how am I supposed to now be happy with him if he consistently shows himself to be an unstable person? You started out with SDP. Let's leave that. Maybe the military truncated that. You went to PDP. What other favor can be done to you than the one Olusegun Obasanjo did to you? It is because of Atiku Abubakar that vice presidents are no longer given so much freedom. Because the freedom and the opportunity was given, he only instituted it into, trying to undermine the president. And that created a lot of things. Some of them you don't know. It is because of Atiku that they started removing chairman of party anyhow, because he felt he had put out Ugbe in his pocket. And Obasanjo, being somebody who is an expert in managing men and material, had to do something to make sure that the country and the leadership is stable. It's because of Atiku who started removing Senate president every week in those era, because he had taken money to go and influence them too much until the president had to come up with something. It was a reaction to that excessive monetization and bribery of the Senate that made Obasanjo start this constituency project, so that the National Assembly can have something and they won't be so beholden to the gift and the largesse. Was that right? It was because of Atiku again that you have a situation where people started jumping. If he had stayed in this party, if he had been loyal there, whatever it is that he was chasing, it would have come round to him. What did he do? He wanted AC in 2007 to contest election. He did not even have the moral rectitude to say that, they have produced the junior brother of the man who made me everything. Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. He contested against him. He got only 2 million votes. That was not enough. He left. He came back. Wanted to contest in 2011 in the PDP. He couldn't make it. He left. He went to go and join people he didn't know, or maybe he knew and he didn't calculate well. He went to the APC. He couldn't even come first or second in their primary. He came third. He left. He came back to the PDP. We gave him, I worked very hard with some other people. We gave him presidential ticket 2 times in a row. Can you now explain to me what is the moral justification for someone that PDP gave vice president twice, gave presidential ticket twice, if his duty in life is now to sit down and be trying to say the party must be destroyed? You think that if the people that were statesmen in other countries had done that, would you have a Democratic Party in America? Would you have a Republican Party there? Would you have a Labour Party in London? Would you have ANC in South Africa? Would you even have CPC in China? And now we are saying, okay, gentlemen, what's going on here? If you stay in PDP, you may be lucky and still get a ticket, will be forced. But how do you expect somebody like me, who did not leave the party when my father Obasanjo tore his card, who did not leave the party when my former Oga Daniel left? How do you expect me to be happy with somebody who we had given so many opportunities and is happy to watch his own party die so that they can bring so-called a new process? What if they fail? Your best effort at campaign, you may lose. Okay, do we now believe that if they lose even with that one, people should not leave that party again and start another one? You can lose election.
But it didn't look as if we would get PDP tickets come.
Who told you that the ticket is his forever?
There's a wicked problem.
Who has made him? Who has told Atiku Abubakar that the ticket of PDP is always his? And who has told him that Nigeria owes him presidency? Who has told him that his ambition is bigger than mine? They started in 1992. How old was he? And since 1992 today, they have been the one doing the directing principle of the policies of this country. What makes him think that the younger generations are not ready now?
So you feel he should have stayed in PDP?
I feel he should have stayed in PDP, and even if he doesn't get it again, he should have stayed there, because they were the ones who destroyed the party. A vast majority of people in the PDP who are unwilling to even contest, they are unwilling to contest because they are willing to compete with him. We wish him luck, but I think he will not succeed.
But you did a good good job as the spokesperson of
Didn't I do a good job as CPS, deputy CPS in Ogun? Didn't I do a good job as director of organization here? Didn't I do a good job? Hold on. Didn't I do a good job as the director general of Jonathan Sambo election in 2011? I've been consistently with people and I've been doing a damn good job for them.
So, but in politics, as they say that no permanent, no friends, no permanent.
And you think that makes sense?
Well, we've seen that play out.
Do you think that makes sense?
Well, it's relative.
Have you seen Obama get up in the morning and say he's going to leave the Democrat Party and go to Republican?
But we all know that in that climb, their politics is driven by ideology.
But why shouldn't yours be? Why shouldn't yours be driven by
ideology? When you're a politician, I should be asking you.
Now, what you can see from me is the reason is why you should say, "Wow, this is a man driven by ideology." Because when they go and come, always here. But the ones that have been going, do you think what they are getting?
But you also said there's a strong possibility, of you leaving a PDP.
Well, you see, let me be clear. None of the people around have been more consistent than me. And I have pushed and pushed and bellowed and put everything on the table. But I must also accept, like King David, that if the child is sick, figuratively PDP being the child now, I will fast, I will pray, I will cry. But if the child is dead, I'll ask for my water, I will bath, I will change my raiment, and I will eat.
But the child is not dead.
Exactly. Have you seen me leave the party?
No.
I gave the caveat, lest anybody will now hold me to ransom and say I don't have a right to leave. And I've been here for 27 years. 27 years is a damn long time. None of your leaders can boast of that. And it takes a lot to be this way. So if you don't praise me, I praise myself.
Yeah. So because, we saw you with the president,
Okay, because I visited the president, that means I've gone to his party.
No, and we've also seen you've been supporting the press somewhat. You've been...
let me put it this way. Well done, it's a good question. Let me put it this way. I've answered it many times, I'm getting tired of answering it. If the president of Nigeria orders that I should come, you have to go. If he invites you for a friendly visit, you better go quickly.
He invited you?
Yes, of course. If he asks that you be arrested, he will arrest you and there's nothing your parents can do. The president of a nation is the absolute alter ego of that nation. The law you even talk about, the execution of judgment is vested in him. The powers to forgive, even when he has, you wonder, is a clemency of mercy, is vested in him. The power to sign death warrants is vested in him and even the governors. Do not joke with the powers of the president. How much more? Someone I have been interfering and have known for years before you people even knew him. Myself and Ashad Bola Ahmed Tinubu have a history from 94, 95, 96, 97, 98. And if I then send you only one picture of our numerous encounter and you are all running riot, that's your business.
It's not a picture,
It's about what?
In recent times,
you would rather I was criticizing him.
You've spoken about
No. You would rather I was criticizing. Wait now.
They should be patient.
Wait. Don't be patient. And let me see what you can do without being patient. If a governor, you see, I've always told people, democracy is a very tedious system. If you have agreed that you have a 4-year tenure for democracy, you younger ones better learn. You are running the risk that nothing will get done in your country, in our country. Because you are imagining that 5 minutes after a president comes, given our country, he will spend close to 1 year in litigation. Court today, court tomorrow, court today, court tomorrow, to Supreme Court. You are telling me that even after he comes out from Supreme Court, he should not even have some peace of mind to get the job done. So that some cheap Alex would not be shouting, hold on. There's some cheap people who have shouting, we don't give, even if promises are because you wait until the next election and exercise your franchise. That was why we then say, get out your vote and stop selling it. You have a right to vote when the day of the voting is concerned. But I don't believe you have a right to insist that your country will not make progress. Because how does that even help you? Anybody that is leading, even your governor, you should be given some space to lead, some peace of mind to get the job done.
Of course.
And if you are going to give them peace of mind,
have no choice. The opposition has
forget about the opposition.
All they do is just to criticize criticize.
No,
Now,
no.
we can only criticize,
Nigeria is one country where your leaders are mostly criticized above all nations in the world. If you sit in America and you look at what is being pushed out, either on social media or real media about the country, it will take a lot of courage for an investor to come here, because he would just have imagined that this is one place where you are just killing yourself and people cannot even step from one corner of the country to the other. But it's not true. You cannot demarket your country comprehensively when other nations of the world are marketing theirs. If they do it, they should do it. But those of us that say that's not the right way, we're also entitled to say that's not the right way. And please, do not mistake my saying give them time to mean that they cannot be criticized. There are things to criticize about them. But when you see a gang up of people who, you say, okay, what are the issues? Predominantly, there are two issues you will quarrel with Tinubu for. They quarrel for. Issue number one, subsidy removal. Do you even have money to pay the subsidy? How much taxes do you generate internally? What are you selling to the world? You think that it makes sense for a country to be going all over the world to borrow money so they can be burning fuel all over the place? Now, two, you are talking about your exchange rate of your currency. You think it makes sense to be going to borrow money so that some people can be giving them dollar, and then the dollar they be using to do rubbish? Nations are not driven that way, and his policies are right.
I think the problem many Nigerians had or have with the subsidy removal
That's his business.
was
It's not my policy.
The sudden removal of the subsidy.
How would they have done it?
Atiku was not against subsidy removal.
How would they have done it?
During the campaign, electionary process was never against subsidy.
Exactly.
We just felt it was too sudden, and there were no plans. So, okay, we are
what
going to subsidy. Let's have maybe the CIG, because it was just to sudden inauguration speech. Then you declared the subsidy removal, and everything skyrocketed. So that was the issue many Nigerians had. So nobody could say, "Oh, don't remove the subsidy." We knew the corrupt practices, the subsidy, was bringing. And when you said, "Okay, with the market in Nigeria," but people also say when Jonathan was the president.
Okay, so if that was wrong,
when Jonathan was the president, the same card was played. They criticized Jonathan when Chibok girls were adopted.
Yes.
They called him out. They criticized Jonathan. And we saw the tweets even of the president who was an opposition.
Are you asking me a question?
Now is the president. You are now saying, "Oh, they are demarketing Nigerians." Are the politicians also not demarketing Nigerians?
When Jonathan, who was a PDP candidate I campaigned very vigorously for, introduced nomadic education in the north, the northerners felt that was not their interest. Today, they have lost more human beings. They have lost the ability to grow, to farm. Their people is perpetually in a state of insecurity. I cannot roll back the hand of time to tell them, "I told you so." But they are living with the consequence. Now you had a Buhari, who is a northerner and obviously a former military head of state. Command and control of troops should be easy for him as he finished the insecurity. You didn't like him then. When Sunday Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu were running riots, I went on television and I asked him, I said, "Buhari, is this the Nigeria of GS Jalo? The Nigeria of Ushishi? The Nigeria of..." I was calling generals that he knows I must know. I'm a son of a soldier now. Is that not my background? I said, "Is that what has become a country that miscreants are now running and holding the country to ransom?" He gave a command that nonsense should be put to an end, and it ended immediately. One was arrested, one was handed out of the country. I'm a patriot of this nation. I've not told you when you have your right for your next election, you should not vote for people I think don't even know what they are talking about. I've only told you we cannot continue this way. This democracy is about 26, 27 years old. Therefore, we must begin to ask the question, how do we collaboratively move our country forward? China is one of the greatest nations in the world. It became great under your nose. In the last 10, you're more than 20 years old. In the last 20 years, if you knew China 20 years ago, and you know China today, you will marvel. Why? Because they agreed that putting the interest of their country is above all others. And what I've been trying to tell Nigeria, which I've been consistently shouting, is that the interest of our country is above all others. If Bola Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, if it does not meet your aspiration, look well. Look very well. Because before you delude yourself into thinking that these ones that don't know what they are doing, who have been so inconsistent, who are just driven by their inordinate. How can somebody tell you that he has a presidential ambition every time? When they say it's time of the North, he has ambition. When they say it's time of the South, he has ambition. When they say it's time of the North again, he has ambition. Does it not get to a point where you say, hey, hold on, what's going on here? Why is your ambition more important than the ambition of some of the people you are deceiving? Why do you think that the presidency should be a sick bay for old people? Why should, if yes, let's consider that Bola is president, we need is there now. Why should we be thinking about another president after Bola Tinubu that will also go to the villa and be getting sick? Why should we insist that the boys of 1992, the June 12ers, they've done their competition. One was a governor in 1999, the other was a vice president in 1999. We have looked at them, we have followed them and watched them for so many years. One is president now, contesting only one time. One has made himself a perpetual contestant, never been president. Why should we allow them to destroy the little harmony and stability in the country? And never forget I told you, we have designed this country like a pendulum. If people are not careful, sorry, you people that are just making your papa, like birds that are eating pepper, not you. Am I not a Yoruba person? I'm talking to you people. Those of you that are making your mouth like a bird that ate pepper, making pepper. Do you know the implication of insisting that they will not respect that pendulum? In that pendulum arrangement, Yoruba are thinking yes. In that pendulum arrangement, by accident, South of Jonathan has taken it. In that pendulum arrangement, in the South, we have to be thinking about the Southeast. But if you do not even allow the pendulum arrangement to be respected, do you know the implication of putting the power in the North all the time? So I don't have a problem with you putting it in the Hold on, 1 second. Let me swallow my saliva. I don't have a problem with you putting it in the North all the time. Okay. But go and look at the North and ask them, the power that they had all these years has impacted their people in the North. When there was money or whatever they said they were in charge, did they look after their citizens? What is the level of human capital development there? What's the level of the poverty there? What's the level of social dislocation there? What's the level of insecurity there? Did they tell you that it's a Yoruba person or an Igbo person or a crossover person and a Ogoja person that is instigating them to be killing themselves? Now, if somebody is sitting in the villa now, he has his president anyway, and he has up to these 4 years to finish his job. And when he comes for re-election, it's your business. Take a decision. Are you saying that I'm wrong for saying take it easy? Especially when I'm seeing the gang up? Tell me, who told any political party, be it PDP, APC or whatever, who told them that Nigerians must vote for them all the time? The fact that Nigerians did not vote for a political party does not mean that you have to destroy it. And that's why Bola is superior to them. In 2003, that's why Oshoma is superior to them. In 2003, hold on. So for the purpose of who don't know the history, in 2003, the Oshoma lost, Babakode lost. Only Bola remained by fluke or maybe by luck. Did you see Oshoma go and say he's joining PDP? Did you see Babakode join PDP? Did you see them leave another party? Did they not bear the burden? Bola Tinubu, that was the only governor there. Obasanjo was a Yoruba man. And did you see come and join PDP? They stayed there. Did you see Buhari, when he was losing, come and join PDP? They stayed there and organized themselves and became an alternative party. You are not telling me that the one that was Abga president, Abga governor, cannot stay in his Abga, went to serve Jonathan PDP, cannot stay in PDP, came and became vice president, cannot stay in vice president, did labor, ordinary labor, which should have been greatly motivated to be top force. He cannot stay in labor. He's now going to join our traducers to claim he's running a new order. Now take Atiku. He cannot stay in PDP. The PDF structure that Yaradua gave to him, he cannot maintain it, he cannot pass it down. He cannot stay in AC. He cannot stay in ACN. He cannot stay in PDP that he came again. Come on. If I am not happy with him, I have every legitimate right not to. And I enjoy Nigerians and people of Ogun State. Don't listen to them. They are too much of a destabilizing force. Democracy takes time to build, and they must be made to suffer for their inconsistency.
So there's freedom of association, and
of course.
When the faction favors a politician, they say, oh, The ideology has changed.
Have you ever seen me defend?
No, I'm just talking about. We talk about coalition now, and the coalition came at a point when people felt, oh, Nigeria was drifting into a one-party, state.
How? How did it become a one-party state?
Wait, because the way the PDP governors were defecting to APC, Delta defected to APC.
Akwa Ibom, and a lot of. Have you not noticed that in South? Have you not noticed?
They also talked. Let me ask the question. There also talks that other PDP governors may defect to APC. Now we have a coalition, and we are saying they are trying. So they are trying. The Nigerians don't listen to them. Anybody has the right to go to any party they want.
Have you asked yourself one quick question? Why is it that all the southern governors are defecting? Why is it that the southern governors are defecting? Nobody is threatening their tickets. Southern governors are defecting because southern politicians are beginning to find it extremely offensive that whereas they endured 8 years of Buhari as a northern politician within the context of the pendulum, they are beginning to see that the gang up is unnecessary. And because of the management of population, that people are here having 1 or 2 or 3 kids is born out of evolution. The people in the north are not more fertile. They have just accepted the culture of multiple wives and multiple children, mostly unlooked after. And the people here have evolved to the level where they are trying to have just family control, birth control. You cannot then say what has kept the Northern Protectorate and the Southern Protectorate operating as one Nigeria. You can't say you won't respect it. That's why they are leaving. They are not leaving because anybody is threatening them in their party. They are leaving because they are beginning to say, what's going on here? We tolerated 8 years of a Buhari Northerner. What's going on here? They are asking questions. Are we not getting the money that is due us in the states? Are we not getting a whole lot more? Are we not getting the money that is due us in the local governments? Are we not getting a whole lot more? Is he withholding your allocation? Has he not created zonal development commissions for all of us? That's what is making them insist that if it gets to that point, they are going to also dig in, hold the ground, and let's all go and challenge ourselves and see whether we can keep the country together or we can break it up. The people who are fighting so that tomorrow, if you become a president, if it is the will of God, people will not sit down in the north and be bullying you, even when you are trying very hard to repair whatever is on ground. By no means am I saying it's perfect. There are big issues I have with Tinubu, but that's not the interview for today. You will see me in my element when I get to that level. But are we going to carelessly now pretend that we have created a country where the only reason why they are creating children in their own area is for election purposes? Okay, fine. Assuming we get up from here and see that they have created Dubai in the north. Nigerians are going to Dubai. Everybody is going to Dubai. Dubai is not a southern country. It's an Islamic sort of country. People are going to Saudi Arabia. If the people that have been leading the north had been responsible, I can imagine how Tafawa Balewa and Ahmadu Bello will be feeling. The places, they are not looking after the poor. They are instigating them. They are manipulating them. Okay, even if you young people cannot see through that, you expect experienced other politicians to tolerate that, given what we have suffered, to keep Nigeria together. Listen, this country has accepted that the basis to stabilize and keep Nigeria together is to respect the principle of the pendulum. You know what's called a pendulum? If it swings left, it will stay 8 years. If it swings right. Berates Tinubu was not my preferred candidate in 2023. But that did not mean that once it has gone to him, we will now become obnoxious. And not look at what's going on. Am I in his government? Am I appointed by him? Am I in his party? Do you even know the kind of conversation I had with him? I went there to have very, very serious conversation with him. The kind of conversation most of your leaders will not dare say in front of a leader because they are too psychopathic. I was asking him tough questions about insecurity, tough questions about food production, tough questions about the exchange rate, tough questions even about some of his aides.
Were you convinced by the answers?
You know, with due respect to you, I wish I could say he's not intelligent, but he is. And I know the others too. I can tell you by miles he's more intelligent than them. He's even more futuristic. I don't know if you people allow him to contribute the little he can contribute for the time he's in charge. Maybe later on you will say, he tried. If you don't allow him to contribute, no problem. What are you going to do to him? He's already captured as president of Nigeria. And he'll be a national court that was only there for a few months. He'll be there forever. So the point I'm making is that I created the alternative so that we can be discussing these things.
I think it's fast spent. You did talk about the pendulum swinging north to south, south to north. And some will say it should rather swing along geopolitical zones.
That's step by step.
Yeah, that's step by step. So by 2031, do you think we also be thinking about southeast, or the pendulum will then swing back to the north?
Abacha created this geopolitical zone. You know why? Because he wanted to ensure that nobody will sit there in Sokoto, be screaming Sokoto Caliphate and be disturbing the whole country. He was a Kanuri man. So he wanted a situation where we can get more balance. Rome was not built in a day. That balance has created a north-south. When we say if it comes to the north, we know where the equity is. If it goes to the south, we know where the equity is. And you heard me say on the program that in the south, never mind that the fact that Bola Tinubu is the president now, he has won anyway. The next equity, if it's coming back to the south, belongs to the southeast. We will not pretend about that. But who and what type of southeast standard do we need? We need a southeast standard that can be a pan-Nigerian, not one that will be instigating small children to be insulting everybody. How do you even feel as a Yoruba man, or even as a Nigerian, that some young kids who don't even know anything have made it their right of responsibility to be talking about Wole Soyinka in such a despicable manner? Do you know who he is? Do you know what he has contributed? Do you know what it takes to be him? And why are they doing that? Because of Peter. What in Peter's life reflects that he is the most brilliant person, he's the most honorable person, he's the only person in the country. Yeah. And anybody who has a contrary opinion, anybody, even if you just as much as say, oh, Peter, take it easy. They were a mob. What kind of useless mob? We will not stand.
His followership has been quite organic. And many a times
leaders have a responsibility. Listen, leaders have, because sometimes there's a teaching platform. Leaders have a responsibility to ensure that society is not made obedient, only to follow them. Society must be instigated to think rationally and make rational decisions. Nobody is going to tolerate a situation where their tribe people will make it their point of duty in life to shame other tribes. No tribe is small compared to them. Their revisionist agenda on that episode is even bad. The fact that after the war, Obafemi Awolowo encouraged the Southwest to give them back their houses and open the door for them did not make us their enemy. They can't stay here and telling us in our own land that our land is a no man's land. Their cousins in rivers have not even returned their property to them. So when we see this, then our own natural instinct will make us stand up and say, no, we are not going to allow you to do this to our son.
But let's go back to politics.
Oh, yeah, go back there.
Like you did say that the child is sick, the child is not dead yet. So if the president asks you to join the APC today,
I'm not somebody that is easily made to join. You can't even. I know where APC is. Do you know how many of my friends are there? Do you know how many people I know there? Do you know how many good friends I have there? Of course, the president would like me to. I'm not the kind of person to say, go and join. Go and join what? You will tell me why you want me to come, what you want me to do, what is in it for me, what is in it for the country. I fear that I will not be able to criticize you. And so I cannot even give you a promise that I will join you. Because some of us have a duty to keep putting your leg to the fire. And if you do something wrong, when I join you and I can... Look, let me give you one story. When I was here, Daniel made me his aide. He appointed me. When I saw the kind of mess that was going on there, you know what I did? I created the Lions Den. Never mind that I'm in government. Never mind that I became special advisor and all that. I created the Lions Den. In an interview, a 1 hour, no holds barred interview session to even be quarreling and be asking the people I am serving to come and justify service. I know me, and I cannot apologize for being me.
Like you did say that you had some tough conversation with the president.
Now you want
He's
me to give you
intelligent.
gist.
He's intelligent, we know that. And I asked you if the president asked you to join the APC. Of course, it will have to be a conversation of this is where the APC is going.
The first person that invited me to join the APC was Alhaji Lai Mohammed. Sir, I greet you. You know when he asked me? After we had lost, Olusametu with his big mouth could not have the capability to charge at him. I did. Me and him had a face-off. He's here, I'm here. They interviewed us. It was a very brutal face-off. And after we finished that interview, which I think I won, and he knows I won, at the side, said, Segun, we created this party for men like you, come and join. You know what my response was? I said, sir, I know this party is for men like me, but can you people not just do it organically? You have won now. Why don't you build it organically so we see? I don't want you to be bringing all these comers until your party will not even resemble your party. Let me stand and help them, believing to God that you will even allow your own party to be organic. Since you've won, tell me, are you even pleased with how they are running their party? Have I not been proven right? The Bukola Sarakis of this world that were jumping in and jumping at that time, that I told him, they will not behave like progressive. Have they stayed? The Atiku that jumped there, have they stayed? The Kwankwaso that jumped there, I'm still here. So don't ask me whether I will join the APC or not join the APC. In fact, I think the person that will invite me to join APC is Governor Dapo Abiodun, because he's the governor of my state. And I expect him to invite me to say, Segun, I'm about to leave now. Let us come and plan the future of Ogun State because I'm no longer going to be governor. When it comes on the table, then we're going to sit down. We're going to look at it comprehensively. And I might just tell him, Your Excellency, I agree. But Tinubu is too far off in the pedal. He's not the one that will determine the politics of Ogun State. I have the ability to determine my own by myself. And for the record, I'm not uncomfortable in opposition.
Well, so you are a ferocious critic.
Not a ferocious, I'm a ferocious nationalist.
Okay. No, I'm looking at it from the angle because when you were the spokesperson, I've seen you criticize the ruling party. I don't even think Peter Obi, has surpassed you in that. What he does, he brings out the fact. Yes, at times the fact could be wrong, but I've seen you criticize.
Okay, let me give you some of the four things I
went all out. I'm just surprised that.
Let me give you 4 things I criticize the president for and tell you whether he doesn't deserve to be criticized. He formed this cabinet. It was larger than any other cabinet before him. At the time, we're in austerity. I said, Mr. President, you can't have such a big cabinet if you're in austerity. Is that a bad thing? He populated his cabinet. He gave the Igbos, the South is only 5, and gave even Ogun 4, and so many people, so many states. I criticized him. I said the directive principle at which to keep this country together is that all parts must feel involved. You can't give them only 5 and give others so much. This is a bad thing to do. Where was Peter when I was doing that? Then he said he wanted to go. They had a coup in Niger. Before getting all the intel, he reacted impulsively. I criticized him. I said, do you know that we have 10 states in Nigeria that border Niger? And the whole of our northern flanks, most of them see themselves as related to the Niger. They are not like us. We don't start exhibiting anxiety because of Benin Republic or Togo, who are our own cousins in the Yoruba land. But the Hausa people are not like that. Have you checked? Number 2, have you checked the full implication of the fact that Niger has always been supporting Nigeria? You need to take it easy. If you are chairman of ECOWAS, they cannot be fighting France and then you'll be fighting them. Is that a bad thing to do? Which other thing have I really criticized him about? Every time, when the Nasrullah matter started, I called him and I said, Mr. President, when you get power, you have to share power. You cannot ignore disruptors like Nasiru. If they are members of their party, find a way to make sure that they can be happy in your party. Before he did this election, before he got nomination, after he got a Muslim ticket, I went to meet him. I said, sir, I'm not comfortable that Aregbe is outside though. I'm not comfortable. Why will Aregbe be outside? He explained, and I don't have time for that today. One day when you have time, I'll give you that. Today, is the Aregbe not a problem now? Today, is the Rasulu not a disruptor?
Well, our time is fast spent.
Of course it
You
is.
know, there's
How they
ash,
enjoy it though?
there's ash in the land.
You didn't answer me, so I want to say.
There's ash in the land. Let's be factual. You know, and Nigerians want a system that works. You know,
What does a system that work mean?
well,
What makes a system work?
there's regular, power. Agriculture sector is
Has anybody stopped you from farming?
repositioned. Agricultural sector is repositioned. There is security because we've seen space of attacks. Insecurity. Plateau, Benue, Borno, and there's even a new terrorist group called Lakurawa. So, and you said you had a tough conversation with the president. So, are you confident that in the next 2 years, because people are saying, oh, you cannot criticize him, it's too early.
Nobody
When
said
it was 6 months, they said, oh, it's too early. And I can remember the Buhari government, he started that way. People, he was underperforming, and people were asking questions. Later, they started calling Baba Guslo. It started this way. So from the conversation you had, I'm not saying tell me the whole conversation, but are you confident that the next 2 years Nigeria will enjoy dividends of democracy? Are you telling me that things will get better?
when was the last time you even had to go to a black market to buy petrol? I'm sure you don't remember, but it used to be the habit here. That's one success. If you know or you pay attention to the quality and the frequency of the light you even get if you have light, you will notice that there's been an incremental increase in even the duration. If you look at the currency of Nigeria, and you look at, especially you are from Ogun, and you look all around you, going through the Ijebu axis, going through the Shagamu axis, going through the Ota axis, you will notice that a lot of foreign companies are building and almost buying up all the land for development. These kinds of things only happen when the cost of fund is cheap relative to the cost of labor. If you look at the country now, some of the things you can do, some of the informal economy that exists, you'll be amazed that things are not as bad as they pretend to be. Now, when you look at insecurity, especially in the northern corridor, the question you should ask is that, is it right for leaders and in fact the general members of that environment to be comfortable with an ideological stimulation that will make people be killing their people? I've read the Quran back to back. I've read the Hadith back to back. I've followed the doctrines and the knowledge of the faith back to back, and I know Christianity back to back. I even have a great knowledge of the traditional belief system. I have not found any belief system in the world that tolerates one human being needlessly killing another human being. And if we saw a spike during Jonathan, including the manipulated Chibok girl story, and we are seeing a spike now during Bola Tinubu, does it not bring your mind to say, but what's going on here? Is it that every time somebody that is not a northerner is in charge, there will always be a spike of insecurity in your brain? And when I asked the president, he told me, listen, he said to me, he said, Segun, I've looked at it. This thing is structural, and it will require adjustment of the structures to do. When I said, why are you not doing it quickly? He said there are legislative hindrances that you need to put in place. You have to be able to ensure that you can get stakeholder buy-in. And he gave me an example of taxation. He said, I came up with a tax reform to remove the burden of paying taxes from low-income earners and from companies that are not making so much money, and even take some of the VAT that is presently accruing to the Southerners to them on the basis of where it is being used, since it's a consumption tax. Say, Segun, look at how they were fighting against it, because they are too cynical. They are just too cynical, and I cannot browbeat them. It's always a test of my nerves to get them to see that all we are trying to do here is give the country a better future. When you hear that from a president's mouth, and you listen to the wah that these ones are saying, you know that no, even if he's not going to get a second time, assuming that is his fate, let us give him the opportunity to even do this one time well.
Yeah, this is how far we can go on hot seat today. My guest has been that respected politician and strategist, Otumba Segun Showunmi. Till next week when we come your way again with another eminent personality, I say to you, stay safe and stay out of trouble. Bye for now.